The key here is you are responsible for your own learning and information as well as helping the other in your group. So you're responsible, like in our expert groups, each person was responsible for one piece of the story, and they are also helping each other learn this. So we saw this in action. And our goal here is that students work together until everybody does the task successfully. So we don't think of individual success, we think of group success. You can't have group success if one person doesn't contribute.
But usually we have a person who would stand out as a leader and help the others. I mean,
right. Often in groups that happens, but there can be some downsides to that, and I'll get to that in a minute. So, regular group work, what can happen? One person dominates, they might do all the talking, and that can be okay sometimes, but not always. But if one person dominates, it means maybe one person does not participate. They're just silent. One person does all the work and the others sort of goof off, they're texting, they're writing, they're not really working. One person might work alone and ignore the others. So if you give a group task, sometimes I've seen students just start doing it. They don't work in a group. Their learning style may be that they want to just work by themselves, which is okay sometimes. And also no one does the work. I've had that happen. So I'm sure you've done a lot of group work with your students. Have you seen these things in action happen? I have.
It's happening.
Very often. This is what happens naturally with groups. Especially some students don't participate. And that's where I think cooperative learning is beneficial to regular group work because it's more democratic. Everybody speaks. Everybody speaks. So if you're having a hard time getting students to speak, cooperative learning can definitely help you.
If you can just please like be more specific about the word participate. Do you mean speak?
Yeah.
This is participation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Speak. Yeah, a note taker, I don't really consider that the same kind of participation.
A good listener is a participant.
No, I mean contribute to achieving the activity, which will be done by speaking. It has to be done by speaking. Okay, so we can compare the two here, and I think you can see the benefits of a cooperative group. There's interdependence where we have to depend on the other students. You are accountable for your own information. We talked about heterogeneous groups, might be mixed ability. That's okay with cooperative groups. It's actually beneficial sometimes to have mixed ability because the roles can change. Sometimes when we do regular group work, we have to ask ourselves, should I have mixed group? Should I have a strong group? Should I have a weak group? We consider this. We don't really have to worry about that with cooperative groups. We don't have to take the time. The responsibility that you have towards the others is very apparent. If you are not responsible, the group will fail. And I think one of the best things about cooperative learning is the social skills that come about. They naturally come about from the way you set up these activities. So in the 1970s, what did employers want? What did people look for from college graduates? They wanted people who could read, they wanted people who could write, and they wanted people who could use a computer. Do you think those are the same today? Not at all. We assume that students can do this. Anyone who's exiting college has to be able to read and write and use a computer. They're looking for much more. Much more of the 21st century skills, perhaps, that students need to be successful in their life and in their workplace. And what are these? The interpersonal skills, things like problem solving, teamwork. We often talk about cooperative groups as teams. So anyone working in a in a company has to have these. If you are not able to work on a team, you are not probably going to be very good at your job. And I think for teachers, do you think all three of these are important for teachers?
Yes.
I think absolutely. You have to have interpersonal skills. You have to be able to solve problems. Even in the classroom, we're constantly encountering problems. And how about teamwork? Do you work on teams?
Yes.
You might be on committees,
Yes.
right? All those things. So all of those things come about from cooperative learning. Okay, I think the best thing to do here is I want you to put yourself in the role of a student who is in a cooperative group. So that's why I think working in a group of 4 is best. If you have a group of 5, I think it's okay. You can adapt, it won't be a problem. So what I'm going to do is share, I think, about 5 cooperative learning structures that are very, very, very easy to do in any classroom. They don't require any extra setup or even moving around. So if students are already in a group, you can do these. You do these with a big class too. So they're very easy to implement into your teaching. It's just kind of changing the way that you set up certain tasks. So the first one is so simple. I don't even know, you probably already know this, but maybe you've never thought of it as a cooperative learning structure. Think, pair, share. It's been around for a long time. The steps in the activity are in the name, so it's easy to remember. So first, students think silently about an open-ended question. Now, an open-ended question is what?
And have different possible answers.
Multiple answers. So you don't want something that has only one answer. The discussion ends. You want something where there's a lot of things we can talk about. So first, they think. And this is thinking time. And this, as a textbook writer, again, we are building more and more of this into textbooks because students need to think. We need to give our students a little bit of time to think of the word in English, think of their ideas, put it in the right grammar. So 10, 15 seconds of thinking time before we expect students to speak is all we need. Gives them a little bit of time. Then they pair up and they answer the question. They both speak and they share, just in a pair. And then we go to the third step where they share with the other 2 at the table, or you share as a class, either one. Very simple. So this is something, I know some teachers do this in every single class they use. So students expect it, and I've seen teachers hold up cards that say think, pair, share. They don't even have to talk. It lowers their speaking time. So the teacher holds up the card, says think, and the class is very silent. The students are thinking, flip the card, share. So let's try this. Do you have a partner? You got your partner? What are you going to do first? Think. What are you going to do next? Share with your partner. And third, share. We'll do it as a class. Okay, your question is, what do you like about being a teacher? Just think.
It doesn't mean thinking.
Some people may need a lot of thinking. I don't know.
So one answer.
One answer.
I hope you can think of many things. Okay, pair. Share your thoughts with your partners.
What do you think, Doctor? What do you think? What about Mr. Abdullah?
I want to say that every day is different. You see, you don't you are expecting different things to happen
Have new
every
knowledge.
single day.
It's not
Even
enough
with every
stuff.
single
My
class.
life for
Never get bored.
Yeah, good.
Which is based on it's better to keep it for what you have. Are you aware of what you will do or policy? Do you think of teaching as a message and students honestly?
And when you are teacher, you are not only
There's no listening step. It's shared.
No, but honestly, we should be teachers to learn not just about background information about original stuff.
Okay, let's share as a class. Okay, so did everybody speak?
Yeah.
Yes. Really? Yeah? Okay. The answer should be yes. Should be.
Why should again? Why should again?
Because it's a pair, it would be best now. In this case, we say. Okay, let's hear some answers. What do you like about being a teacher? Yeah.
Right, I'm just discussing a few things.
Just give me one.
One. Okay, right. For me personally, it's the fact that every day is different. I mean, every day we have different expectations. We're learning new things with students, and right, we never get bored. I mean, it's
Okay, great answer.
Yeah.
Okay, something else. Yeah.
Teacher is the cornerstone of any society, and bringing up societies and building future.
Okay, so it's a respectable job.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, great. Anything else?
It's also a responsible job, responsible one. You must be responsible of everything. You must be a model as a father, a model as a leader, and everything. As soon as you enter, before, as I said, before entering the classroom, you will stand in assembly with your queue, with your classroom. So you must be respectable, smiley, forgetting everything at home, forget your fighting with wife, and then after that.
Ready yourself for the
and,
role.
and after that. So, yeah.
Okay. Good answer. Another one.
An honest messenger.
An honest messenger. Okay, these are very noble reasons. Good.
Yes, what I really like about teaching is the challenge itself. Either being successful or fail. It's not the matter of success and fail. It's just facing the challenge and feeling the happiness of being successful, trying to change things to avoid failing. That's
Okay, good. Great answer. What about anyone over here?
What about
vacations?
I like seeing my students satisfied with my instruction, with my teaching. It's a very good thing to feel that my students are satisfied with my teaching.
Good. So you get that feedback from the students, very important. Okay, so there's a lot of good answers here, right?
Yeah, sure.
You want to add one more?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Teaching, taught me patience.
Taught you
It's one of the
patience.
most important things that I learned through my life.
Yes.
Like to control yourself. 'Cause maybe
So you don't.
Yeah, you have to stop yourself.
Now, even with your family, you used to be something. Now you are something different.
Yeah, makes you maybe more tolerant, right? Perhaps of some behaviors. Okay. So, which do you think you could talk about longer? What do you like about, or what don't you like about being a teacher? Which would have a longer conversation? We won't get into the negative. Nobody mentioned high salaries.
I mentioned vacation.
Life is
Yeah,
very
so let me
expensive.
down. So vacation.
It's okay, you can mention that.
We have high salaries, but also we have a high cost. Everything is very expensive.
You earn your money. You earn your salary. You definitely earn it.
Yes.
Okay.
I think if you don't find satisfaction financially wise, probably find some satisfaction in students themselves when we feel that they have some recognition or gratitude for what we are teaching them every day.
Definitely. That was always my main thing. Actually seeing students learn something I taught them. It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. Okay, so that's a very easy one. Think, pair, share. You can do that without changing much of your approach to teaching. Let's look at another one. This one is called round robin brainstorming. You know what brainstorming is? When you brainstorm, you give a long answer or a short answer? Short. Just getting ideas. Don't even need sentences, just ideas. Round robin means you go in a kind of circle. So there's an order to the speaking. It's not random. So first you speak, then you, then you, then you, and then you continue. Round and round and round. So everybody speaks. Key thing, everybody speaks. So here, we're going to assign a student role. We talked about student roles. We only need one role, and that is the recorder. Someone to take notes in your role. Note taker, secretary, recorder, whatever you want to call it. So one person, take notes. Let's decide who that person is now.
Yes.
So unanimous vote. It's you, okay?
Thank you.
Are you? Okay.
Okay.
Over here?
Which other one?
Who's the note taker? You've been nominated.
It's very
here?
He's the only one who has a pencil.
Okay.
By default.
Okay, so that's the person assigned to the recorder.
Okay.
Again, an open-ended question is asked. I'll give you some think time. Okay, listen up. Next, share responses round robin style. Each gives an answer until time is called. The recorder writes down everything. The recorder participates, but also writes. Just take notes of everything. Make a list of the ideas. So we want to give ideas fast, and we don't want to explain. Just give the idea. Next. So maybe you go around 2 or 3 times, and I will say, okay, time is finished. And then finally, we'll share the answers with the class. Okay, so are you ready for the question?
Yes.
Who's going to go first? Raise your hand.
Yeah, so it should go on
Okay,
circle.
who's first here? Okay, first. First, okay. Sorry, I didn't change this because it's on my USB. Imagine that says Qatar, not Afghanistan. It's correct on my computer, but I'm using my USB. Why should students in Qatar study English? Why should students in Qatar, not Afghanistan, in Qatar, study English?
You should begin.
Okay, there are many foreigners in Qatar and
Many culture,
various cultures.
Different words.
To restate. Now we can say that.
Yeah, you can start now.
Yes.
Start now.
Qatar will host various nationalities in the leader, so
Who writes? Who's writing? يعني ما حدش ممكن يقوم يبدل معايا ويقعد شويه.
To have good chance to have good chance to immigrate. Yeah.
مبدع محمد عرب. اكيد الافكار كلها من مستر محمود.
To identify the dealing with changes.
Hi, Mr. Atif. Welcome to Microsoft Expert.
وحياتك لانشرها.
More and more. The time you run out of you pass.
What's your idea? No more about
ما في جديد ننتظر التجربة الملازم اتفقنا على الشيتس السابع.
Okay, let me stop you. I think we can probably keep going, but we'll stop there. How many are on your list? How many different ideas? 12, 4, 5, 10, 5, 6. Okay. All right, recorders, give your paper to a reporter. So now we have a different role of reporters. You have to make sure you can read the lesson here is the recorder needs to write very clearly.
Yeah.
That's our lesson. So you want to choose someone with good handwriting for your reporters. Yeah. Okay.
Great teacher.
So give me, let's listen carefully to each so we don't repeat the same ones. Give me 2 reasons.
Okay, the first reason is that Qatar is having some projects and they are open for the outer world and they need various nationalities, and that's why they cannot deal in different languages. So English will be the only language that they can use.
Okay.
This is number 1. Number 2, they talked about that modern sciences are all in English. So the best way is to learn English just to cope with the modern sciences.
Science.
Yeah, science.
Because English is a language of science.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good. All right. Give me 2 more.
The first thing students think about in learning English is to get a better job.
Okay.
They know that getting a better job needs to be good at English.
Okay. Good. So get a better job.
The other one maybe is to join universities. It's
in order to get into and succeed in university.
To get a seat in the university.
Okay, good. All right, great.
We have one reason that express their cultures and to know about others' cultures. Also to maybe to communicate with others, to interact with others.
Yeah, to be able to interact with other people from other cultures.
Universal language.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Who had more?
Here they said 10.
Give me 2.
The other group 12.
Actually, I mean, most of the answers were given. Probably since Qataris shop and travel a lot, so I guess they're gonna need English.
Okay,
somehow.
for travel, sure.
Yeah, and also for access to information, because we know that when we go on the internet, I mean, most of the websites are dominated by the English language. So
absolutely, yeah. In order to get information in the global age, you really kind of need English for that. Okay. You have two more that haven't been said?
Yeah.
Okay.
To identify the cultures of the others. Okay.
Yep.
And to cope with the world as a whole.
And to what?
To cope with the world as a whole.
Right.
As we know that English has become dominating the whole world.
All right. To become a global citizen, to be able to interact successfully in the world at large.
Globally, yeah.
Global. Be a global citizen, I sort of like that. Okay, good. Do you think a good question would be, why shouldn't students in Qatar study English? Could you do that question? Why shouldn't students study English?
Should also?
Shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
Do you think your students would enjoy answering that question?
You know my English. And they have answers.
They might have more answers. So it might be a good question.
Sometimes our students ask us why we are. Sometimes our students ask us why you are teaching English.
Exactly. They would ask why. They might say, why do I need this? They might have good reasons why you shouldn't. So you did a little bit of critical evaluation and thinking in here too, depending on your type of question. Okay, so that's round robin brainstorming. Let's look at another. This is called numbered heads together. So here, each team member first chooses a number between, well, choose a different number, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have a larger group, you go 5, 6, or 5. So everybody choose a number first. Make sure you don't have the same number. Okay. So I don't need to check. You all have a different number?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, I will give you another open-ended question. You will discuss until everyone can participate. But the difference here is, then the teacher calls out a number. That student has to answer for the team.
Okay.
So I don't know your number. I'm not picking on a student. So I'll say number 1, number 4, number 3, number 2. What is the advantage of this?
Everyone should be prepared.
Everyone has to be prepared. So if students think, oh, the teacher might call my number, I need to pay attention and be prepared. So it's this internal motivation to participate, which can be very strong. If you just did this with a group, I guarantee some students would not participate. But if they know this is coming, they're more likely to participate. Okay, the question to discuss.
Teachers, they should be like very aware of this activity. Because sometimes when you call number 4, the person will answer in the group, and you don't know who's number 4. And then when you say again number 3, maybe another one who is good will give
So
can't solve this
I could check. My experience is students don't really do that because they're not quick enough to.
You know.
But yeah, but let's try the activity first, okay? The question: what are the best techniques for motivating students to learn English? What are the best techniques to motivate your students to learn English? Again, you will have multiple answers. You don't have to write them down. You can just remember them. Just discuss. You don't have to write. Discuss in the group, so you all have some ideas.
Using PowerPoint. That's I think is very optional.
Participate in the activities. ممكن relating skills, English to their own skills, personalizing the socializing. What else? Next. Audiovisual, games, videos, realia, something like that. Is it online, sir? Online? What can motivate them? They already know these. They know that to get a good job, they need to or have. I think we should give them concrete incentives.
To be a human. To be a human. You want to write it, okay.
In my opinion, I think that we should give them concrete incentives. You know?
Concrete, yeah. Incentives, yeah.
Changing the classroom setting.
No way. تضرب ولدي والله كنسل كان عندنا واحد
Okay, I'll stop it there. I know we can continue to talk for a long time about this. Let's share our answers. Do you remember your numbers?
Okay,
Okay, let's listen carefully so we don't repeat.
give them more marks.
Which table should I go to first?
This one.
Number 5.
Yes. Okay. We can motivate our students by giving gifts, presents, praising in public, in the front of his own classmates.
Okay. Just give me one. Just give me one.
That's what?
No. Was that 1 or 2?
2 now.
No, just give me one.
Giving gifts.
Giving gifts or rewards or
Rewards, yeah.
Okay. Number 3.
Number 3.
I'm 3.
Okay.
Maybe to discover more about the world,
To show them that they
to discover
are able
more
to,
about cultures.
to learn about the world. Okay. Number 2.
Yes, teacher always remind the students especially during the people that have different languages and the mutual language between them is English.
Okay, so you can stress the importance of English in their own community. Okay. Number 1.
Yeah. The way is to reach the using games, compositions, showing virtual values like travel inside into your heart. It is in the real life, it's impossible. In virtual life, it is clear and cool.
Okay, fine. 2.
Right. So actually, just posing a question so students get thinking about it and just to attract their attention. Okay.
Yeah.
And then getting the answer.
Yeah, it's good. A very nice, simple technique of questioning. Yep. Number 1.
Not one. Praising them, rewarding them. The same, rewarding them.
Is there a different one?
Praising them.
Praise. Say praise. Praising them.
Praising them.
Okay, praising them.
Give them marks. Give them marks.
Number 2.
The same, nothing new.
Nothing new?
Nothing new.
Any other ideas? We only have 6 ideas. Anything else to share?
Breaking the daily routine, the traditional routine. For example, taking students outside the environment, to the gym, to the hall. So you can give your lesson there, and it will be fantastic.
Agreed. Great idea. Yeah.
Related to personal experience. I think this is very motivating. Whenever you teach them something, for example, about a story, and then you ask them to relate to them, did this happen to you? What did you do?
Yeah. People like to talk about themselves.
Excuse me,
Okay.
just a minute, please.
I'm going to go on to the very last
Just a-
thing, so we
just a-
have enough time.
Just a minute.
Last activity. Last activity. I have to watch the time. We'll do one more. This is called a 3-step interview. This will be the last one we do. Okay? So our instructions, you're going to work in a pair. One student interviews the other. I will give the questions. One student interviews the other. Here I will give a time limit, maybe 1 minute. Then students switch roles, and the interviewer becomes the interviewee.
Yeah.
So first you ask him for 1 minute,
and he answers.
Then you ask him same questions. So rather than ask, answer, ask all the questions, ask all the questions.
Really comprehension questions.
Then they join up and you share what you learned with them. You share what you learned about him with them. You share what you learned about him with them. Okay? So we're interviewing, we're asking questions, we're answering questions, and then we're sharing in third person. Something interesting you heard. Okay? So I will give you 1 minute for the first step, 1 minute for the second step. So you can time yourself. The questions are here. What is the best age to get married?
26.
How important is love in a marriage? Do you believe in love at first sight? All 3 questions in 1 minute. Go.
Last month I used Skype with another culture. I interact with I take my students to travel, virtual travel, using Skype with another culture in the United States, in Australia. It was the best technique to teach students how we can teach English very well. Yeah, I was wanting to tell you that one. One of the techniques to use Skype to interact with other cultures. Yes, of course.
That's very good.
I was to.
Okay, I'm running out of time.
Never mind. Yes.
Can you just make sure not to share this publicly? Is this for internal?
It's for school.
Okay, so no YouTube or anything?
Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. It's for our school.
Okay, that's what we thought, and that's
Thanks.
totally fine.
Never
As long as
mind.
it's not
I was an expert in Microsoft Educator community, one of them. So if you are not agree, yes, I will not do. But I was trying to, I wanting to put it in Microsoft Educator community as a video, tutorial video.
Yeah, no, he
But
doesn't want it shared.
never mind. Okay, forget it. Yeah, welcome.
But love attraction
Okay, time is up. Time is up. Now, in a classroom, I would give students more than 1 minute. I'm only showing you the technique. Classroom, it's much longer. Just showing you the technique. So the third step here was sharing. You can share in a group, like I said, but let's just share as a class. Tell me something interesting you heard, not about yourself, about somebody else. Tell me something you heard about your partner. So we're sharing about someone else, not about yourself. Yeah.
Mr. Yasin said that the best age is 40. This is very important.
40. For a man.
For death.
That's very interesting.
I think it's expensive and cost.
Okay, what's something you heard?
Rahman told me that once you're ready to marry, once you have money and able to marry, get married.
So you need to have the
Maybe after 18. Maybe after 18.
Okay. So you want to be financially secure
Yes, yeah,
before you marry. Okay.
Mr. David, you asked the best age.
There is a misunderstanding between the best age or the suitable age.
In your opinion, what do you think is the best age for someone to get married?
The best age,
It depends on the financial
Well, that's what he said. That's what he said. Okay. Anything else? To share? Yeah.
Exactly, it's not much about finance and about maturity, because here we got a point that nowadays, I mean, boys and girls are less mature than they used to be before, so probably marrying at around the age of 25, or even a bit later, when they are really mature and ready to be married, that would be okay.
Yeah. So it depends on the individual, but you would base it on maturity, financial, maturity, these sorts of things. Okay, so these kinds of questions for this technique, I think personal questions work best. Personal, but not too personal.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. Maybe these are okay, maybe they're not okay with your students. I don't know. I think they're okay. But if they're a little bit controversial, they're more interesting. The students will have more to say. If you just have boring questions, your conversation goes nowhere. And they won't want to participate. Okay, so that's three-step interview. On your handout, you have about 5 or 6 more techniques you can read later. I include jigsaw reading, which you tried out.
Yeah, right.
There's about 5 or 6 more here. And I also included here a story. There's a short story at the end, like an American English short story called The Blanket. If you want to use literature in your class, this is a short story that works well as a jigsaw. You could divide it into 4 parts. Maybe a little bit older students, but you have a nice story, or just use this as a reading. It's a nice story. So it's some extra resource. Okay, I think I'm out of time. It's time for food. Okay, so thanks for your attention, you guys. Thank you. I know you're probably your mind is elsewhere. Thank you.
دكتور صورة جماعية تسلم عليك مستر ادوارد اكسكيوز مي لو سمحتوا يا جماعة صورة جماعية بعد اذنكم
evaluation form اللي ذكرهم حلوة
اللي هو بتاع المدرسة
اوكي مش انت لا مش انت مش انت المعنى
مستر ياسين صورة جماعية هذه
وين ناخذها؟
هنا بس روح اقف هناك
تاخذ التصوير؟
يلا عندي الشاشة احسن دكتور عشان
المفروض
تعال خذ يلا بسرعة
صورة جماعية يلا
سعد
معلش اخذت يلا مكرم
افصل بقى وبعدين بصور يا مالكش دخل بس يلا ادخل بعدك هاخد الاثنين الفيديو واخد منه احسن لقطات وحد يجي يبدل معايا الله يصلح حالكم يعني try together please يعني لو نضم على بعض شويه لو امكن. استاذ محمد عرفه ممكن تضم شويه؟ استاذ بعد اذنك ضم شويه. اوكي تمام ما تقلقش. بعد اذنك ممكن تضم شويه؟ يا ريت. استاذ عبد الله بعد اذنك. لا كده اداريته زي ما كان محمد عرفه. محمد انت مداري عليهم. انت مداري على الشباب اللي ورا.
استاذ عبد الله